Okay, I think we better start now. I think it is late afternoon, close to evening in Ethiopia. So good evening for anyone else who's joining from the other side of the world. Good morning. I'm gonna use English because I see some people who might not speak Amharic or Afan Oromo, but please feel free when you are asking questions to either use these three language. I believe I can communicate well in Afan Oromo, Amharic, but for the sake of the conversation, I'm gonna use English. And welcome to our first webinar. As I have been communicating through email and different social media outlets, I have been receiving lots of requests, mainly around guidance, how to apply to MPH and PhD programs. So my targets audience are mainly from Ethiopia, but still this could apply to anyone, everywhere. And for those who are seeking for other disciplines, I'm sorry, I don't have much experience in the other fields, but some general things could help you if you are here to apply for engineering, to apply for business, for other disciplines. But my main target is going to be describing more about public health. So for those of you who don't know, I'm Hailu from Ethiopia. I recently started a Doctor of Public Health at School of Public Health at Harvard in 2021. So moved to US just short of 2 years ago, but I have been based in Ethiopia my entire life. I studied as a physician in Jimma University a while ago, completed in 2014. I've been practicing more around public health. So I did a master's in global health, mainly in health economics track in Norway, Bergen. And most of the experience I'm gonna share are from this, going into master's program and coming here for the doctoral program. A disclaimer, I'm not an expert in any of what I'm going to share. It is more just my experience. And if anyone on this call could have a better insight on whatever question that is going to be raised or whatever topic we are going to discuss, please be free. I think we will all benefit if you could make it kind of a peer conversation rather than just me sharing from one side. So today I was hoping we would discuss the basic steps because we are aiming for the deadline in December. So the 24-25 application deadline. So the way I'm planning to do it is we are going to start from now, and for the next 7-8 months, we do things sequentially. So in this cohort, if you are registered and a part of this cohort, you have to have that plan in your mind and be prepared for it. Like once we will complete things sequentially, and by the end of December, hopefully you all will be able to submit for the prospective program you would like to join. And after that, we wait for the news. And I'm very optimistic. Lots of you will get acceptance to the program you desire. So this journey is going to be more of a peer coach to each other. And once you are in this, for example, if someone is like struggling with document authentication, you all would guide each other. If someone is like having needed an input on statement of purpose, or someone is looking for an essay write-up review or something, that is what I wanted to create here. Generally, what I will do is on each webinar, which I'm planning to hold every month, we will discuss about one big topic. Then we are going to have a question and answer session. A big part of it is going to be question and answer. And definitely a question that is raised by someone will be also a question for someone else, and we are going to discuss that way. But I'm not going to be just answering those questions. As I said, I'm not expert here. I'm just a public health professional. I am not a person who have been working in student admission or something like that. All the experience I'm sharing is just from my own perspective. So we need to support each other. But my motive here is, especially for those of you from Ethiopia, my motive here is, unless you try, unless you kind of get a guidance and go through this process, you will never know whether you could make it or not. Just 3-4 years ago, I have not heard of Harvard School of Public Health. I had no idea about this whole opportunity. It just happened to be, I got the opportunity to visit Boston for a very brief time. I visited the school. I stayed in the school for 4 months, and that really changed me, my perspective. That visit was as a part of my master's program. Then I knew I should apply for a program here, and I only applied here. And I don't have any unique or some sort of extraordinary capability that brought me here. I was so stubborn. I knew I wanted to come here, and I invested my time, energy, everything. And also, I'm a very blessed person. I got here with a privilege. So anyone can do that. That is my biggest motive. And I want to see a lot of us from 110 million and more of those young generation. I believe there is huge opportunity out there in academics, and we need to explore that. So that is my biggest intention. I don't intend to get anything out of this monetary wise. I don't intend to get anything out of this recognition wise. All I need is for us to interact and guide each other towards the best you could all accomplish. Unfortunately, we only have, as I said, close to 50 people today, and that is going to be our cohort. There is no way forward after today. I'm not going to consider someone who couldn't join for at least 2 sessions. So someone who couldn't join for 2 sessions, it's going to be dropped. Not because I am a mean person, just because that is how we are going to support each other. We can't go back and forth. We have to go forward. And for the sake of those who joined today, maybe we are going to give one opportunity next time who could join next time, but that is it going to be. So I am okay if our cohort is going to be 50, and I knew that is why I said 1,000. I was not looking for 1,000 people, to be honest. Just out of those 1,000 who jump on registering, some of them will have commitment. Yes, I think that is the logistic. So today we are going to discuss about, these are the early preparation phases for anyone who's looking into public health school. You need to have one thing. You need to authenticate your document. So a US equivalent, unless your education is from US, if you are coming to US, you have to have US equivalent. And for this US equivalent, there are different third-party organizations who could do your document authentication. So basically, these third-party organizations are not directly the organization you are applying for education. So for example, if you are applying to Harvard, Harvard is not going to do your authentication. So there is organizations, third-party organizations, authorized to do this. And I have discussed about World Education Service. So World Education Service, you can browse it, check it. WES is the most common one, but that's not the only one. So I'm going to discuss about that. I'm going to mention repeatedly World Education Service because I'm familiar with World Education Service, and that is what I used, and I believe it is also easy. The World Education Service, you need to create an account for World Education Service and log in and put on in your basic informations. So the basic informations I can share while I'm doing this. Let me screen share. Good. So the World Education Service looks like this. I think maybe most of you have explored it. You just go in and create an account. For me, I have already created an account, so I can just log in. But you can, when you are new to World Education Service, you just go and create an account. So it's going to give you, ask you a destination. So World Education Service is mainly targeting US and Canada. Your target, if your target is US, you created US, it's going to ask you, let's put an email here. And the verification code is going to be sent. And the verification code here, so I just received a verification code on my email. And once you are there, it's going to ask you your basic questions. So basic, like your name, nothing surprising here. But the one thing I want to stress here is the date of birth. So the date of birth, usually especially for those of us from Ethiopia, there is this chance of making a mistake around here. And I wanna stress on that. Every month, date, and year of your birthday, you have to be very careful about it. So it has to be similar on every document. So that is something you need to take care of. And obviously, World Education Service reference number, when you start, you will not have it. Then you are going to create a password, basic questions. So once you created that, let's go back and I'm gonna log in on my. So the page looks like this when you log in. So once you log in, it's going to be different for you because I have done my document authentication and this page looks different. But for those of you who are logging for the first time, you are going to see a page that says, that asks your credential by order, starting from high school, then your degree, if you have a master's, your master's, when you started it, when you completed it, what the education address is. Please try to fill every information meticulously. You have to make sure the date especially, because if you say you graduated September 2020 or September 2015, and if it says on your credential you graduated October, that is going to be a conflict. That is going to delay your verification process. So you have to make sure, you have to check your credential first. Sometimes there is, because of this Ethiopian calendar thing, there are some mismatch we tend to do. That happened to me actually. So we graduated in October in Ethiopia. And that is in my mind what I remember for my degree program. But when I looked into my credential, it says we graduated in September, because that is when the Senate decided our graduation. Even though my graduation was in October, the Senate decided our graduation in September. So the document says graduation was in September. So those mismatches could delay your verification process. That is something I really wanted to stress. Other than that, your age. Always make sure that you put the same age, the same birthday, the same month, the same year. Type errors, all that could give you a hard time, because the back and forth with World Education Service is something that could take you longer time. If you did things right way the first time, it's not going to take more than 2 to 3 months. But if you did made a mistake, it's going to be another 2 to 3 months, because the back and forth is going to be difficult. So this is one thing you have to do. The World Education Service is paid. You have to pay in US dollar, close to 200, I think, $200. But you will not be required to pay till you finish all your input, like everything you input there, every information. You can come back and forth, check it, do it, like re-edit it, share it with someone, discuss it, what to fill in that in each page. So you do have a time. But once you are sure you are done with it, you say submit and you pay. And after you paid, the World Education reference number is going to be generated. So this is a very important step. The World Education Service reference number is the number you are going to use to send your official letters. The official letters are going to be sent by the authorities, the respective authorities. You can't send your official by yourself. So your transcript, your degree, you have to, so the reference letter, you are going to use it for your degree. You go to the registrar, just like you send official within the country. It is like that. You request for official, and the official letter, when they send it, they have to mention that reference number. So the address, where to send, how to send it is going to be generated. There is a very clear instruction when you finish your process of after you paid, they are going to create an instruction for you to follow. So that is something I would like to say. And you are also required to send your high school credentials. So when you say official, usually we have the experience of sending an official from your degree, from your master's, but you are also required to send an official from your high school. And that is from the agency. There is an agency, Fatanauch agency in Arat Kilo for Ethiopians. So you go to Arat Kilo, they are very familiar with this practice. You fill this requirement, so you just give them your number. If you finish grade 10, there is a number, a registration number on top of your document. You can just get that number, and for grade 12, you get that number. You fill that in a form, and they are going to require you to pay for this service. It's paid in Ethiopian birr. You go to banks and pay, and they are going to send it. And every official you are going to send, please use DHL. Don't use FedEx or other services. So DHL is the most convenient from what I experienced. So there is also expense related to DHL. Don't use postal service. It's going to take forever. So if FedEx is not something they prefer, DHL and FedEx might have the same timeline, but DHL is their preference. So this is what I want to share with World Education Service. I think it's better to go to question and answer, because I'm sure you all had lots of questions. So I'm gonna give that chance. Please raise your hand, and I should be able to see who would like to ask a question.
One question is, what is the difference between World Education Service and the service that is given by Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Ethiopia? Both of them are giving an authorization of the document. What is the difference between them?
And the World Education Service, like when you create the account, there is an option for Canada and the US. Can we do both? Like to just open, if we are open to both sides, like is the account like enabling us to do both, like the US and the Canada, or is it just like if I choose Canada, I'm fixed to that. If I choose USA, that's it. I think that's just my question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. To start from the Salim's question, the authentication that is given from the Ethiopian government, the Foreign Affairs, is not an educational authentication that is acceptable by any educational institution. Yes, for example, if you have a birth certificate from Ethiopia, you have to go to the Foreign Affairs to authenticate it is not forged document or something like that. So it is different authentication. They are going to do course by course evaluation. So your degree, your master's, they are going to do course by course evaluation. And with that course by course evaluation, they even transcribe your grades that are acquired. Like your A somewhere else might not be A somewhere else. Your B somewhere else might not be. So they do have, from every university, this World Education Service, they have their curriculums. They know how their curriculum is designed. So they try to create some sort of equivalency. So for example, after they finished my evaluation, they said, my degree is US civil equivalence of first degree. My master's is US equivalent of a master's degree. My high school is US equivalent of whatever. So they do that. So this is a totally different thing, and there is no way to bypass it. So you are required to do World Education Service, and I have not seen any exemption to that. So that is my answer. Howie, that is a good question. Even though you choose US or Canada, the World Education Service is actually based in Canada. The reason they ask you to choose between US and Canada when you start this application process is because World Education Service is not only done for academic purpose. So there are options that goes into it. Are you doing this World Education Service for an immigration purpose is one question they have. So if you are doing the World Education Service authentication for an immigration purpose, especially skilled-based immigration, they are going to differ. Whether you do it for US or Canada, that is going to differ. Especially in Canada, for a skilled-based immigration, they require you specifically to choose the Canada section and go for immigration. But for education, you can both use the one you choose for US or Canada interchangeably. It doesn't matter. And here in US, the World Education Authentication you created for academics could also serve you for immigration. That is Iyasu.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So, Doctor, thank you. What I want to ask you is, who can apply to the public health to Harvard? So I'm seeing a lot of doctors, and I am actually a nurse. I am trying to get into public health. So, do I have a chance before I start? Thank you. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, public health is like a very widely open opportunity for everyone. Not only health professionals, you could apply from any discipline, literally. I know lawyers, I know diplomats in my class, I know social background people, I know engineers in public health. Actually, I know a mentor who is an engineer, who's a professor in our school. So yes, you can apply, and you do have fairly equal chance. What program you are applying to, of course, matters. There are some programs that are selective of some group of professionals, and that program requirement is usually posted in every program you apply. So when we discuss about the SOFAS page, where you are going to explore a lot of programs and see what is the requirement, what is their demographic consideration, what specialty, what experience, that is where you get to explore. But everybody, literally everybody is eligible to apply to public health. Abonesh?
So I do have question on the type of documents. Like, for example, you said you need high school credentials to apply, and if you completed degree, it's needed, I think. And if you have again completed the master's program, it may be needed. So when I opened the account for the World Education Service, is that possible to scan the documents and prepare and send for them, or it is a must to go to the offices and make them to send to the World Education Service? So I do have some confusions on that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that question, Abonesh. I want to clear for everybody. Any documents that you submit by yourself is not acceptable. For World Education Service to authenticate, it has to be sent by the respective authority. So don't even send it by your own. Like some authorities could give you, you can send it. No, they has to send it. Even though it is an official document, some universities could give it to you and you could send. That is not right. It has to be sent. Even the person, like it is sent from, is not, shouldn't be you. Like you can't send any official documents. Official document registral ከሆነ registralu መላክ አለበት። የፈተናዎች ኤጀንሲ ከሆነ ፈተናው ኤጀንሲ ነው መላክ ያለበት እና ይሄን ያውቃሉ እነሱ። ላይክ ኦፊሻል ዶክመንት ሲላክ ሰው ልካችሁ አስልኩልኝ ኦፊሻል ሲባል ለእናንተ ሰጥተዋችሁ እናንተ በአድሬሳችሁ ራሱ እንዳትልኩት ተቀባይነት የለውም። ኢቭን ዞ ኢት ኢዝ ዘ ኦፊሻል ዶክመንት ተቀባይነት የለውም። ሶ ራሱ ኦቶሪቲው መላክ አለበት። የፈተናዎች ኤጀንሲ 4 ኪሎ አሉ። they have experience with this, a lot of people በየቀኑ ይሄን ያደርጋሉ ለኢሚግሬሽን or whatever purpose ብዙ ሰው ሲያደርገው የሚውለው ነገር ነው። ፕሮሰሱን ያውቃሉ። so all you request is የ10ኛም የ12ኛ ክፍልን ኦፊሻል የሚል ነው የሚያወጡላችሁ። አይታችሁት ራሱ የምታውቁት አይደለም። የ10ኛ ክፍልና የ12ኛ ክፍል እንትናችሁ አለ አይደለ? ለእኛ የሚሰጠንና ለኦፊሻል የሚላከው ራሱ ሌላ ነው ፔፐሩ። ፒክቸሩን አጣሁት እንጂ ፒክቸር አንስቼ ነበር እና it's different. It says whatever. so print አድርገው ያወጣሉ፣ ለዛ ያስከፍሏቸዋል። 12ኛ እንትን የሃይ ስኩል ነው። የዩኒቨርሲቲ ደግሞ they send it through university ኦፊሻል የሚል ቲተር ያደርጉበታል ምናምን። በራሳቸው አድሬስ ነው ግን የሚልኩት።
ሉል እባላለሁ። ዶክተር ኃይሉ በጣም እናመሰግናለን። የምጠይቅህ ጥያቄ የዶክመንት አውተንቲኬሽን ወርልድ ኤዱኬሽን ሰርቪስ ከላክ ነው በኋላ አንዴ ከተሰጠን ለምን ያህል ጊዜ ነው ቫሊድ ሆኖ የሚያገለግለው? ኦር ሪኒው ማድረግ አለብን? ለምሳሌ አሁን ፕሮሰሱን ሳልጀምር አንዴ አውተንቲኬሽኑ ካለቀልኝ በኋላ ለምን ያህል ጊዜ ነው አሁን ከsay ከ5 ዓመት በኋላ ኦር ከ6-7 ዓመት በኋላ ፕሮሰሱን ቢጀምር is it valid for that long time? ይሄ ነው ጥያቄ። አመሰግናለሁ።
Yes, that is great question. የመጀመሪያ አውተንቲኬት ልታደርጉ ስታስቡ ይጠይቃቸዋል ለየትኛው ኦቶሪቲ ወይም ደግሞ ለማን ነው የምታስልኩት ምናምን ብለው ለመላኪያ አንድ ኢንስቲትዩሽን እንድትመርጡ እድል ይሰጣቸዋል። so that is part of the payment እናንተ መጀመሪያ ላይ የምትከፍሉት። ግን ደግሞ if you are not planning to send this to an institution right away, you can still do the authentication and just put your own address and it can be sent to you. The official document that they did authentication could be sent to you and they are going to keep in the system for 4 years. If I'm not mistaken, I will check on that and maybe follow up with you. If I'm not mistaken, they will keep it for 4 years. And after that, you have to pay. That is a trick. So they will offer you a chance if you are going to have an extended time in their system so that you don't go through the re-evaluations again. They are going to offer you to pay. And you can pay and ask them to keep your evaluated credential for this time. So every time you extend it, you are going to require to pay. Otherwise, if that time lapsed, they are going to require you to submit every document again. And following on that is very important. Even after you used it, like for example, I did use it, right? I am in school now. I don't need it for an academics, but if I anticipate I'm going to use this authentication in the future, rather than going through all this process again, I'll just pay them so that it will be kept in the system. Panta?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I have 2 questions. The first question is, does age have an effect on on this recruitment? The age of a person who apply. One is the question, and the other question is, like USMLE, sometimes they want to know when we finish our undergraduate. So does this two age, affect our potential candidate, being potential candidate?
Yes, that is a good question, Fanta. Yes, age is a factor in admission, but not in necessarily in negative way. So some programs, they would like to prefer a mid-career professionals, for example, a DRPH program. The program I'm in, you can't just come to DRPH program without experience right away from school. They ask you like 5 to 6 year experience. So that is a target. The mean age in our program is like around 35. So there are people who is in their 40s, there are people who are early 30s. I'm actually the second youngest in my program and I'm 34. So there are programs that requires that kind of experience. There are also some programs who would say by the time you apply, they would prefer you not to be more than 35. So there is that difference. And I can't speak for every program. You just have to check in the program requirements if they have explicit things for every program. And you could do this on SOFAS. So when we talk about SOFAS, SOFAS is one of the things that you have to start exploring as early as possible when identifying the programs that is suitable to you. The other is when you completed school, could also, when you are started, you only completed school could also have a factor based on the program requirement, but it's not that huge factor in my perspective. It's not like USMLE. No, it's not. And public health, actually, the more you are experienced, the more they prefer you. So there is a text question about the payments. So Yasu asked the overall, I think, from the questions, like it's the overall expense. Application process is going to be expensive. I'm gonna be blunt with you. It's not easy. You have to be prepared for it. So, for example, World Education Service is going to ask, like, require you close to 100. Then, if you are taking English proficiency, it's going to require you close to 200. And the SOFAS, based on the number of programs you are applying to, but at least it's going to require you 200. And even more if you are applying to 20 programs, or if you are planning to apply to 10 programs. So it's going to increase per program. There is like 10 to 15 or 5 to 25. I don't know the range exactly, but it increases per number of programs. But for at least for the start, you are going to at least require 140 or something. So overall, for a program, it's going to require you about 700 to 800 USD with expense with DHL, the back and forth things. So the application is not an easy cost. Unfortunately, some of them are required to be paid in US dollar. You can't pay them from local currency. So that is one of the challenge. Maybe we are going to discuss about this, how we could support each other within this peer in our future conversations when we are close to reaching that point. Abraham?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ailu Betam, for everything. I just have two questions. The first one is that is this really necessary to have our original degree for the process and official transcripts? ምክንያቱም ብዙ ጊዜ ያው most of the universities ask for that እና እሱ ጋር ቅድም ሜንሽን ታደርጋለህ ብዬ ነበር፣ እሱን አልፈዋል። The second one is WS እንትን ስናደርግ ኢሜይል የምንጠቀመው ኦሪጂናሊ ዩዝ ከምናደርገው ወጣ ያለ ነው ወይ ማለት አዲስ ክሬት አድርገን ነው ወይ ፎር ዘ ሆል ፕሮሰስ ምን ነው ወይስ የነበረንን ኢሜይል ለምንቀጥለው? ምክንያቱም አንተ ሎጊን ስታደርግ እንትን ያለው ተለየብኝና is that different way የሚለውን ለመጠየቅ ነው። Thank you.
Right. Yes. የመጀመሪያው ጥያቄ ላይ ስንሄድ for official to be sent, you don't necessarily need your original document. But additional to the official that is sent, they are also going to ask you to submit a copy of your document. That is the other challenge. So for the official, whether you have your degree at hand or not is not going to impact it, because the official is sent by the authorities. Like, unless they say you have not completed your service, we will not send the official document, which is not right. They can't say that, but sometimes they say that. So that is not going to impact. But additional to the official document that is sent by registrar, by the patent out agency, whatever, you are also required to submit a copy of your credential. So yes, for that sake, you need to have your degree, at least the temporary. So sometimes you might not have the degree at hand, but at least you need to have temporary documents that you can submit. I know that is going to be a problem, but we are going to navigate through this one by one. Let me know when you have a challenge around it, and if I can help, I think we can discuss about that. The email, please use your own usual email. And one thing I'm gonna stress, if you are going to go through this process, you have to develop a culture of checking your email at least twice per day. You have to develop that culture. I know we don't use much emails. Maybe if you don't use email on your day-to-day practice, develop a culture of development, like at least twice per day. Even for us, our communication is going to be through email. And also, once you start this process, there will be lots of communication through emails. So yes, use the email that you are currently using, that you have been using for a while. You don't need to create a new email. For me, when I show you, because I inserted a different email because I already have an account on the other email, so it will not let me create an account. So I just wanted to demonstrate that. Damages.
Okay, thank you. My question is, I have two questions. The first one is, what are the, I think, do we need to authenticate all the documents? I mean, according to Ethiopian educational curriculum, we have grade 8 certifying exam, grade 10, and also grade 12, as well as our undergraduate degrees. So do we need to certify all this starting from grade 8, or only high school documents and the university qualifications? And the other question is, does this authentication has a time limit to expire? Like, I mean, like other ECFMG exams and other English qualifying exams, does has any deadline to expire? Do we need to re-authenticate? So this is my two questions I want to ask. Thank you.
Great. For the first question, you don't need to authenticate grade 8. You only need starting from grade 10. If you only did the high school, like the program that is completed in 12, you are going to start from 12. But if you have 10, 12, you have to submit 10, 12, degree, master's. And for those of you who have certification is not something you can authenticate. I wanted to stress, like, certification, specialty certification. So if you are a gynecologist, surgeon, pediatrician, that is not something you can authenticate. So you only authenticate your medical degree, or if you have other master's degrees, that is what you are going to authenticate. Because maybe this is a lame thing, but this is because the World Education Service and other authentication agencies, what they do is course by course evaluation, right? And the certification program does not have a grade. So because it doesn't have a grade, it doesn't like A, B, C, D, or ranked like that. It's just pass for this program, pass for that program, I think. So because of that, they can't do course by course evaluation. Please don't waste your time going through that, because I did go through this process with a friend last year. It took us forever, and finally they said they can't authenticate this. So my recommendation is just drop it, do your medical degree. If you are going for public health, it doesn't impact that much either way. Sorry, the next question, the second question was expiration. As I said earlier, you just have to pay for it. there is no expiration. You just have to pay for it to keep it in the system. So they are going to offer you the service to keep your authenticated document for a longer time.
Okay, so it's Magdalawit, and I am a medical graduate from Hawassa University, currently studying Masters in General Public Health, and I'll be graduating next year in 2016 Ethiopian calendar. But my question is, I want to pursue further in PhD, public health and PhD, but I will be done, I think, by May or June on 2024. So can I start the application process now without actually possessing my master's degree? And then by the time that I will complete my education, can I submit my official by then? Is that possible? Because I don't want to have a delay in the application process. That's all I'm asking, and thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, you're welcome. This is a very important question, and I personally have not experienced it, but it is possible to apply ahead if you are still in school and expect to complete your degree by the time the next degree is going to start. But the trick is the education, the World Education Service authentication process is going to take a while. So even though technically you are allowed, the universities, when you apply, they allow you, but the World Education Service is going to take a while. Usually their timeline is like after you complete a submitted document, they will take like a month or two. And that could be a problem, but I'm willing to go through this process with you and find out. Maybe it's going to be an experience for us to be able to support others who could plan the same way next time. But technically it is possible because I know students who are in a master's program currently applying for PhD here, so they allow them. But the difference is when you are an international student, you do have this document authentication thing that is going to delay things for you. And maybe this time involving the universities directly, letting them know you are going through this process and asking for a grace could also be one way of navigating that.
Thanks for the chance. I have two questions. The first one is, can a fresh graduate of medicine pursue a program in Master's of Public Health with no work experience? I mean, what are the chances of getting it? And the second question will be, from your experience, how long does this authentication process take? Thank you.
So as I said, Krubel, the requirement for different programs differs. So even though some programs prefer you, and when you have experience, some program also directly lets students come directly from an undergrad, especially master's program, and even PhD programs. If you have publications and other experience that they would like to consider. So unfortunately, I can't speak about this so generally because it varies across the program. So for that variation, for the requirement and experience, I would really recommend you browse through SOFAS so that you see each requirement for each program. That I think since we don't have a time today, I don't think we will be able to go through SOFAS, but when we go through SOFAS, I will just show you how to browse the programs, and you can go through specific programs and understand that. But still, especially master's program, most of the students I see, they just come from undergrad directly. And some of them are even in medical school. So I think we need to also consider that. So usually they take a year for a master's program while they're in medical school. When they are third year, fourth year, they just take a year from medical school, a break, and come to public health school. They do their master's and go back to medical school. So there is even that practice. So of course you do have a chance, but it depends on the program. When you do masters out of Ethiopia, still you do the same authentication if you are asking about the authentication, but the authentication process is going to be easier. For example, my masters, I did it in Norway. And the authentication process is easier. I just need to send them an email. Usually, these international schools have some sort of registration system. So within World Education System, you just insert it right there. They offer you a platform where you could just request that, and it's done like that. You don't even send it through DHL or whatever. So it's gonna be easier, but still, it has to be done. It has to be authenticated. If it is out of US, it has to be authenticated. The World Education Service authentication, for me, it took 45 days after I completed all the submissions. And I did experience with others who have completed with an MS. My time in their defense was right after COVID, when there was a lot of problems around mail, lots of people still working from home and all that. So now they are improving it a lot. So I would say less than a month. But after you finished submission of every document, after they received every document, so the time before they receive every document is going to depend on you, how fast you are doing it. You could do it in a week, you could do it in 2 weeks. And once they receive every document, it takes them about a month.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hailu. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, as you were speaking about World Education Service, I was simultaneously trying to create an account, and it asks for our first, second, and last name. Do we fill the names as per our passport, or is there any kind of different requirement?
Yes, great. Thank you for asking that, Emmanuel. One of the other things we need to be careful for us Ethiopians is our name. So the way our names are written in our passport, your first name, for example, my name is Hailu. That is how I'm called in Ethiopia. So my first name is Hailu. My father's name is Tamuru. That is going to be my middle name. And my grandfather's name is Lufera. That is going to be my last name. That is how it is on my passport. And that is how you need to write it in every document authentication. But if you want to change it, of course, you do have a chance, but it's going to give you a hassle. Especially if you already have a passport, it's going to give you a problem, because sometimes people would like to prefer their father's name to be their last name rather than being called. It is strange to be called like Hailu Dufera here. Now I'm accustomed to it. I discussed it with my dad, like when I started this journey, because it feels like strange, right? It's not common for me to be called Hailu Dufera. I have been called Hailu Tamir. So if you prefer that way, still you can make your father's name your last name, but before you have your passport. If you have already a passport, of course, still you can do through that like legal process or whatever, but be careful with that. So your first name, middle name, last name. Thank you for asking that, Emmanuel. Does that answer your question?
Exactly, thank you very much.
Great. Fanta?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you again, for the second time. So, for example, I have to ask you one question as I'm a medical doctor, gynecologist. So, so you said that the master's certificate, the specialty certificate has no, it is not important, you said. So can we apply? Can we apply with our medical undergraduate degree for PhD, or we have to apply for masters?
No. First thing, it is not authenticated. That is what I want to underline. But the fact that it is not authenticated does not mean you are going to use it. You are not going to use it in your application. You are going to mention your extensive experience and your great profession of specialty in gynecology. Definitely that is going to be considered in your application, how you write your essay, when you fill your background information, everything. But for the authentication process, they can't authenticate the certificate because it's not a course-by-course thing, because you don't have grades for that in Ethiopian system and I think elsewhere. So they have difficulty authenticate that, and that is what I wanted to indicate. Don't waste your time trying to convince them to authenticate that, because last year I did this for an orthopedician friend of mine. We got through this journey. It took us a long time, but finally we decided to drop it. So I'm just sharing my experience, but application wise, a specialty, the fact that you are a specialist is going to give you a huge privilege. The fact that you are experiencing these things is going to give a chance. And when applying for PhD, most of PhD programs accept directly even from degree, let alone having a certificate. So you can directly apply. It depends on the publications, the research experience, whatever you have for PhD, unless it is Doctor of Public Health. Like the Doctor of Public Health, I can discuss another time. It does not necessarily talk about publication or whatever. Of course, publication is part of it, but mainly they talk about the experience, the leadership, the management, the public health experience. That is what they prefer. So it depends on the program, but still you are able to apply. And we do have a Telegram group. I shared it on the email. You can join there. While Brown is trying still to talk, I'm going to answer some questions. You can authenticate your document while you are not out of Ethiopia. All you need is just someone who represents you. You don't need to be there to ask for official. Actually, I didn't go to Jimma to send my official. I just asked the student who could ask me to send an official. But I think the people in Arat Kilo might require an official representation, the legal representation. Okay, yeah. Any degree you have from authenticated authority, authenticated organizations, including private colleges, can work. But when they do course-by-course evaluation and equivalency, they might give it lower or even higher. It depends on that. They use it because they evaluate it better on the curriculum. But any advanced degree you have can be authenticated. So I didn't discuss about SOFAS today. SOFAS is the application platform. So World Education Document, World Education Service, or WES, is where you authenticate your document. But SOFAS is where you submit your application. For example, if you are applying to Johns Hopkins to a specific program, you are not going to apply it to Johns Hopkins. You are applying it through SOFAS. Almost all public health schools have one application platform called SOFAS. So we are going to discuss about that in detail. Yes, someone actually earlier asked, are you preparing us for one specific school? No, I don't have any organization. I am not preparing you for any specific school. I am just here to share my experience and let you apply to whatever school you want. But I encourage you, there is no school that you don't have a chance to. As I have been saying at the beginning, I am in the School of Public Health at Harvard, and I have not, in my wildest dream, imagined I would be at this school. Like when I was in medical school or while I was even practicing. Unless you try, unless you give yourself a shot, you will never know. And we do have a very good proverb in Amharic, right? So that I encourage, but I am not preparing anyone for any specific school. Yes, language proficiency, we have not covered it today. We are going to talk about it next time. CV, we are going to talk about it next time. I'm sorry, I am running out of time. I think I did answer most of, yeah. So basically, today we discussed more about World Education Service. So I expect everyone here, like 50 of us, to start a World Education application process this week. If you want to continue with this journey, please start. Create an account, put on your information, start all the process. Maybe if you are through it, If you don't have any difficulty, pay it. Start asking for official to be sent, because you have to do it as early as possible. Even though we have 7-8 months, we want to finish the basic step. The basic step well, education so fast. English proficiency ከጨረስ ስለ ኢፌ ነው የምናወራው። ከዛ በኋላ ስለ ስቴትመንት ነው የምናወራው። Yeah, I think that is all for today. But we're going to have a session in a month, and that time we are going to discuss mainly about SOPAS, but also we are going to discuss about English proficiency.